This week on ANN, spring meetings begin at the headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
Adventists in Christchurch, New Zealand reach out to their community.
And students in St. Maarten raise money to help kids with Down syndrome.
These stories and more coming up.
Thank you so much for joining us.
This week, Seventh-day Adventist leaders from around the world gathered at the World Church headquarters for spring meeting.
Spring meeting is one of the two annual gatherings of the Adventist Church's Executive Committee.
The Executive Committee is the second highest governing body of the Seventh-day Adventist Church after General Conference Session, which occurs every 5 years.
In between sessions, the Executive Committee has the authority to act on behalf of the General Conference in session.
It has the power to appoint committees, employ personnel, elect or remove administrators, and effect the retirement of an elected or appointed position before the expiration of a term for which they have been elected.
During spring meeting, the Executive Committee receives the audited financial reports of the General Conference and transacts regular Executive Committee business.
Because the session started late in the week and is still going on at the time of this recording, we will bring you most of our top stories from the meetings next week.
Don't forget, you can read about spring meeting at news.adventist.org.
The second Global Summit focusing on Seventh-day Adventist Church membership retention met during the first week of spring meeting. Conference leaders looked at the rate and reasons members leave their local church. Since 1965, 39% of new members have left the Adventist Church. During his presentation, Director of the Office of Archives, Statistics and Research, David Trim, appealed to Adventist leaders to remember the statistics are not numbers, but people and family members. Emphasis was also given to the importance of accurate membership data. Leadership discussed discipleship as the best strategy for nurture and retention. Suggestions were made for a shift toward an agricultural model of discipleship, where the church creates an environment that leads to fully committed disciples of Jesus Christ. This agricultural framework is known as GROW. The framework involves the following 5 stages: prepare the soil of the heart with friendship and service, plant the seed with spiritual conversations or with literature and media, cultivate spiritual interests with ongoing Bible studies, harvest decisions with appeals to follow Christ and be baptized, preserve the harvest with ongoing discipleship of new members. The data presented by Trim revealed that members haven't left because they don't believe in the church anymore. They left because they couldn't fit in and they didn't feel loved. Trim said, there are millions of lapsed and former Seventh-day Adventists worldwide. They already believe much of what we believe. They are waiting for us to reach out to them and to love them with the love of the shepherd and the father of Luke 15.
Seventh-day Adventists in South New Zealand are producing resources to help members connect and support Muslim friends and neighbors in the wake of the devastating Christchurch attacks, where a gunman opened fire on 2 mosques, killing 50 people and injuring 50 more. With both video and printable assets, the simple techniques will help break down barriers at a time when the people of Christchurch are struggling. Christchurch Adventist School was close to the scene of one of the mosque's attacks and was placed in lockdown during the incident. While counselors and pastors have been providing support, leaders are reporting a rise in the number of children responding violently to disagreements and having anxiety and panic attacks, particularly those who watched a video of the attack. The South New Zealand Conference is looking at how to best provide mental health first aid to the children and staff. On the first Sabbath after the attacks, most Adventist churches in South New Zealand made time in their services for reflection, and ministers changed their sermon. The work in Christchurch is not finished yet. Conference church leaders are now focused needs assessment and supporting people in the church at large.
Elementary students at the St. Maarten Seventh-day Adventist School wore colored socks and each donated $1 during a special activity in observance of World Down Syndrome Day, March 21. Kindergarten through 6th grade students took the day to bring about awareness of the disorder and shared their donations with the St. Maarten's Sister Basilica Center, which provides resources for persons diagnosed with Down syndrome. It was the first year that the Adventist School of 337 students embarked on such a project. Teachers, students, and the school's management team collected $240 for the center, which is part of the White and Yellow Cross Care Foundation that provides guidance and assistance for the elderly, disabled, and those in various districts on St. Maarten. There are currently 10 Down syndrome clients at the facility. The school plans to make the day an annual event and to include the more than 3,000 Adventists on the island in order to bring more awareness to the condition and raise funds.
Recently, Adventist World Radio, or AWR, gathered more than 90 radio producers from nearly 30 countries in Africa to the city of Arusha, Tanzania, for 2 weeks of training and evangelism that resulted in 1,500 baptisms.
For 2 weeks, each attendee had the opportunity to practice preaching. Every morning, the AWR team coached them on how to improve for next time.
In the afternoon, participants were sent to preach in sites located all around Arusha. Some of them had never preached before, but they all agreed that they had a powerful experience.
According to Ray Allen, General Vice President for AWR, the idea was born at a meeting where members of AWR felt radio producers in Africa and Asia would benefit by preaching at a total member involvement event, coupled with training on how to combine the FM radio broadcasts with the initiative.
In the spirit of total member involvement and from broadcast to baptism, AWR is committed to establishing many FM stations in Africa.
Coming up, we hear more from friendship that led a man to Jesus in Georgia.
But up next, Maranatha helps young girls in Kenya.
We may look, pray, read, think, worship, sing, and share differently, but we all look forward to the Sabbath. And we all look forward to the future when Jesus will come again. With this message in mind, we arrived at a core component for a new identity system, the creation grid, a simple 7-column structure for layout. The grid is a reference both to the prophetic timeline as well as to the creation week that culminated in the seventh-day Sabbath. Regardless of what or where you are designing, you can always find information to help you communicate that we are all Seventh-day Adventists.
May I work in with you, young fella?
Yeah. Go for it.
That's the way you do it. Got to put a little weight on it. Well, I'll put it back up here for you.
Welcome back.
For most children, a new bed and bedding isn't likely to elicit whoops of joy.
But for 150 girls at the Casa Addre Adventist School and Rescue Center in Kenya, the dedication of a new dormitory and new beds was an occasion for extreme jubilation.
Maranatha volunteers sent this report.
For most children, a new bed isn't likely to elicit whoops of joy. But for 150 girls at the Casa Addre Adventist School and Rescue Center in Kenya, the dedication of a new dormitory and new beds on March 8 was an occasion for extreme jubilation. The new dorm was built by Maranatha Volunteers International during a mission trip that welcomed 26 participants from the United States. In addition to construction, they also moved in 72 beds, mattresses, and bedding, all of which the volunteers helped to fund. The Casa Addre Rescue Center is a haven for girls who have escaped the Maasai tradition of female genital mutilation and child marriages. Although illegal in Kenya, the ritual is still carried out on girls as young as 6 years old. These girls are then booked to be married to an older man. Some girls choose to run away on their own accord, or their mothers secretly help them escape. The rescue center, located 50 miles from Nairobi, was established in 2001. It offers the girls a home and an academic program on campus, which allows the girls to learn in a safe setting. The program is successful, but after 18 years of operation, the facilities are in need of renovation and expansion.
The dormitory that we have is only supposed to handle a capacity of not more than 80 girls. But currently, as we speak, the population in our dormitory is 150 girls. And again, we don't have enough beds that can serve even the 80
After learning of the need at Casa Addre, Maranatha agreed to build 2 dormitories for the girls and a dormitory for the small population of boys. Each of the dormitories has an attached bathroom with multiple stalls, showers, and sinks. Maranatha will also build an administrative office. During the volunteer project, Maranatha also drilled a new well on campus to replace an old one that was not providing enough water. The new well will provide plenty of water for drinking, bathing, and gardening. This is the 2nd dormitory that Maranatha has built at the Casa Addre school in less than a month. To learn more about Maranatha's work around the world, visit Maranatha's website at maranatha.org.
A vegan diet was found to produce the healthiest levels of diet-related biomarkers compared to other diet patterns, according to a Loma Linda University study. Researchers at the School of Public Health found that a vegan diet slightly outperformed other vegetarian diets, all of which fared better than semi-vegetarian or non-vegetarian diets. The research, plasma, urine, and adipose tissue biomarkers of dietary intake differ between vegetarian and non-vegetarian diet groups in the Adventist Health Study, too. Took its data from a long-running study based at Loma Linda. Previous studies at Loma Linda University have shown that vegetarians live longer than meat eaters and have lower risk of cancer, diabetes, and cardiometabolic disorders. As predicted, vegans scored highest in terms of bioactive markers that prevent disease. Doctors who conducted the study thought lacto-ovo-vegetarians would take 2nd place, but in reality, they nearly tied with pesco-vegetarians. They were also surprised that semi-vegetarians fared only slightly better than non-vegetarians, who took last place.
Women housed at the Emergency Center for Victims of Domestic Violence, or Casa Addre, were surprised when President of the Adventist Development and Relief Agency International, Jonathan Duffy, along with his wife Kathy, visited to celebrate a decade since Addre Romania started the initiative. Addre Romania has been managing Casa Addre since 2009. Its aim is the social reintegration of victims of domestic violence by providing them with shelter, social and psychological counseling, emergency medical assistance, food, and help finding a lawyer. Women housed in the center experienced a different way of life without physical, verbal, and other kinds of violence. They rely on spiritual values and cultivate healthy eating, exercise, training, and recreational habits. Duffy said of the initiative, "It is a joy to see that there are good people who take a stand by being next to these ladies and these helpless children. This shelter is special and precious, and it must continue to exist. Over the years, nearly 900 people have been housed here. It is sad to think that there are 900 victims of domestic violence, but I am grateful that Addre Romania has found an experienced team that has given them hope, safety, blessings, and a place where they can renew their life and rediscover human dignity."
Last week, we brought you the beginning of a story of friendship in the country of Georgia.
The Adventist Church in Eurasia sent this report.
Первый вопрос у меня был: ты веришь? Он говорит: да. А какой церкви? И брат напишет: я адвентист 7-го дня. Адвентист никогда не слышал, но слышал 7-го дня. Ну, как субботник. Хотел, было желание как-то встретиться с субботниками. Это почему? Потому что, когда Библию читал, о субботе много говорит. И эта простота мне понравилась, человеческая, потому что я все оставил, это все традиция, это все. И я это время знал, что самое главное быть человеком. И стараюсь быть таким, и желаю, чтобы все были такие. Чтобы люди легко быть, идти к Богу. Все хотят, все любят Бога, все ищут. Но это дверь, которой говорим, дверь надо искать, а эта дверь мы должны быть. Интересно то, что я сильно заболел. Почти полтора года до встречи с братом Владимиром я ходил в больницах. Брат хотел мне сильно помочь чем-то. И брат мне один раз звонил: давай езжай, в Армении есть санаторий, все наши братья, сестры там, и там лечение будет, а здоровье отсюда ехать, это не очень просто, ну, проблемам не буду говорить. Я говорю, конечно, это время, я еще отмечаю то, что внутреннее состояние у меня было вообще такое. Это не человеческий, который я говорю. Еду, не еду, я еду. И звонил брату, я еду. Конечно, я ехал, и опять у меня борьба была. Мне очень понравилось. Проблема то, что я чувствовал, что я недостоин там быть. Там очень хорошие, добрые люди были, очень хорошие. Я говорю, я недостоин. И я никогда не могу быть таким людьми, как и они. Бог помог, конечно. Я молился, я знаю, что Бог хочет, чтобы там мне показать что-то. Да, и я общался. Ну, они, конечно, общались. Говорили о крещении. Брат Михаил говорит, что вот скоро будет у нас крещение. Ой, сразу душа горит, и я говорю, я хотел, но я не достоин. Я не должен это. И вот брат Михаил говорит, кто будет креститься, кто хочет, у кого есть желание. Я не знаю, сразу руку поднял. Собрал сил духовные. Ну, конечно, это время Господь очень много помогал. Я много молился. Тот день, когда утром 11 мы должны были крещение уже пройти, у меня начиналась борьба. Креститься, не креститься, креститься, не креститься. Ну, конечно, вместе с этим я сильно молился, и я крестился. Во время крещения я тоже, самое главное, что я от Бога хотел, чтобы Он простил все мои грехи. Когда спустился в воду, и когда поднялся, как будто это все нету. Все нету. Ощущаешь Иисуса только. Это ощущение чуда. Я много искал дороги, чтобы как-то служить, хоть как-то, чтобы мне утешение было, что я чувствовал, что действительно я христианин, действительно я что-то хочу сделать. И брат Владимир мне предложил, что есть такое служение. Я ехал в Тбилиси, календари, разные книги, диски продавал, раздавал. И это для меня было утешение.
Make sure you join us again next week for the conclusion of this inspiring story.
Coming up, Emily Mastrapa is here to talk about why it's so important to recognize intellectual property laws.
But up next, we hear about a leather-making class that also teaches the Bible.
It all started in a small upper room with humble, fervent prayer. Threatened by the authorities and banned from preaching, the church prayed, and two men witnessed with great power and grace. And people prayed everywhere in one accord, in repentance, with confession and humility, and the lives of people were changed. Two men started out on a missionary journey that would turn the world as they knew it upside down. And the message went out to the world beyond. Corporate prayer helped a prisoner escape. A king requested that his people fast and pray, and the enemy was defeated. A battle won without the need to fight. Through a faithful servant and a young queen's faith and courage, a people were saved. Stories in the Bible showing the power of united prayer.
Welcome back.
Today we'll join Fortunato's leather making class.
But at this class, we'll learn more than just how to make a belt or a bag. He'll teach us a lesson from the Bible.
Adventist Mission has more.
On this Sunday morning, Fortunato climbs the hill towards his workshop. Today, he'll teach a class on how to make a leather bag. Fortunato lived many years as a cowboy in rural Peru, but eventually settled down in Cusco to start a family. Perched high above sea level, Cusco is an ancient city, once the historic capital of the Incan Empire. Not far from here, you can find Machu Picchu, a World Heritage Site. People from all over the globe come to visit this marvel. This area on the edge of Cusco is still developing as the city continues to expand. There's limited electricity and no running water in this neighborhood. Many families here find it hard to earn a steady income to improve their quality of life, so Fortunato got an idea. He wanted to equip his neighbors with a new skill, leather crafting. Fortunato's workshop is filled with tools, supplies, and handmade goods, reflecting his many years of experience in leather crafting. He invites everyone from the community to his workshop to learn this skill. Before each lesson, Fortunato shares a short worship thought. He opens the Bible to a passage he thinks God will use to speak to his visitors. Then they continue on the leather crafting lesson. Fortunato teaches his guests how to cut, glue, and sew the leather together to make a beautifully crafted bag. Throughout the class, he connects the lesson to his earlier worship thought. Fortunato believes that Christ's method of ministry is the most effective way to share the gospel with his community. Through his leather crafting ministry, he has planted multiple churches. His latest church plant is called the Loma Linda Church, which roughly translates to the Beautiful Hill Church. It's a fitting name for this location that sits high atop a hill overlooking the city of Cusco. This small congregation meets each Sabbath to dive into Bible lessons. They listen, learn, and ask questions about things they've been studying throughout the week. An important element of the church service is the music. Each week, a small group of musicians performs with traditional instruments, singing in both Spanish and Quechua, a local native language. Fortunato's brother-in-law, Ciriaco, leads the music each Sabbath. He has a ministry of his own. Much like Fortunato, Ciriaco volunteers his time to teach classes, specifically music classes. He offers both children and adult music lessons once a week, working around the people's schedules. Today's class is for children. Ciriaco loves how eager they are to learn and how quickly they grasp concepts. He starts with the basics, but over time, they're able to follow along as they sing or play various instruments. When a group has made some progress, he invites them to come play for the congregation at church. Many who come to perform return week after week to keep hearing the stories about Jesus. This congregation is continuing to grow through Fortunato and Ciriaco's outreach efforts. This quarter, a portion of your 13th Sabbath offering will help build a youth-focused community center in Cusco, Peru. This center will be a place where people can come for a variety of activities that will connect them with Adventist church members. Please pray for church planting in Cusco and throughout South America. Thank you for supporting the mission offering.
Watch this and other mission stories online by visiting AdventistMission.org. Then click on videos at the top.
April 26 is World Intellectual Property Day, the day we set aside to recognize the importance of patents, copyright, and trademarks.
Emily Mastrapa is here to talk about why you should care about these issues and how you can make sure you are following intellectual property guidelines.
Sometimes we see images online that we love and want to share on our publications. We may hear a song that we believe would go perfectly in our video, but if we don't have written permission to use these images and songs, we can't use them. Intellectual property refers to creations of the mind, such as inventions, literary and artistic works, designs, and symbols. It is protected in law by patents, copyright, and trademarks, which enable people to earn recognition or financial benefit from what they create. Every April 26, we celebrate World Intellectual Property Day to learn about the role that intellectual property rights play in encouraging innovation and creativity. This year's theme is Reach for Gold, Intellectual Property and Sports. Visit wipo.int to learn more. They have a social media kit with graphics that you can use on your social media pages. And use the hashtag World IP Day to show your support for intellectual property. World Book and Copyright Day is also coming up on April 23. This day is a day to pay worldwide tribute to books and authors. Visit unesco.org/commemorations/World Book Day to find more information and to find an event near you. Remember, the next time you want to use an image, video, or song, make sure that you have written permission to do so. These authors, artists, and inventors deserve recognition for their work.
And finally, for today's episode, let's turn to Ashley Chisholm for a look at Adventist history.
This week we hear about evangelist, educator, and pastor Taylor G. Bunch.
Welcome to This Week in Adventist History. 100 years ago this week, on April 8, 1919, Taylor G. Bunch and his team began a series of evangelistic meetings in New Orleans, Louisiana. Bunch lectured every night except Saturday nights for 7 straight weeks, and then he switched to holding meetings on Sunday and Wednesday evenings. Taylor G. Bunch was born November 18, 1885 in Myrtle Point, Oregon. He studied to be a lawyer and then decided to become a minister. He worked as an evangelist in many large cities, including New Orleans, throughout his career of service. Bunch also worked as an administrator, serving as the conference president of the Michigan Conference, and as a teacher, heading up the religion department at Atlantic Union College and teaching at Loma Linda University. In 1952, he became the pastor of Sligo Church in Tacoma Park, Maryland, occasionally teaching at the Theological Seminary, now located at Andrews University, and at what is now Washington Adventist University. Bunch died May 25, 1969, after a long life of service in education. His story came from This Week in Adventist History.
Thanks for watching ANN. Join us next week for more news from the headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
We'd love to hear from you. Send us your feedback and tell us how your church is making a difference in its community.
Be sure to capture plenty of video footage and photos, then write up a summary of the event's important details, and feel free to send full video reports as well.
You can reach us by sending an email to annvideo11@gmail.com.
Before we say goodbye, here's some good news from the book of Judges, chapter 1, verse 9.
The passage says, "Do not let this book of the law depart from your mouth. Meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do everything written in it. Then you will be prosperous and successful."
That's our program for this week. And remember, you can always visit news.adventist.org for daily news and videos. Until next time, God bless.
Take care.